I would like to welcome you on my personal behalf and on behalf of the Jammu Kashmir International People's Alliance. Today, our title of the conference is Terrorism and its Impact on South Asian Region. Before a couple of months, we amalgamated to revitalize Jammu and Kashmir centric resort not only before the regional players but also before the international community. Today's topic has its own importance with regard to terrorist activities mainly in South Asian region. The term terrorism is classified as the use of violence by the private militia, often called as non-state actors. The terrorists are indiscriminately killing men, women, children. Religious fundamentalism is the foundation of ongoing worldwide challenges of terrorism. Fundamentalism is a controversial category, but an objective meaning can be given to it in line with the following: embedded faith, religious traditions, withdrawal from mainstream, creation of counterculture, transformations of mythology into ideology, cultivation of theology of rank, resentment and revenge, refusal of dialogue necessary for democracy, peace, prosperity, progress and continuity. Defending beleaguered tradition using rotten truth in globalized world that asks for reason. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to remind you that most of us were not quite familiar with this phenomenon before Afghan war in the region, although we Kashmiri as a nation are facing terrorism since 1947. Pakistan is a country which is situated in a region where fundamentalism has been imposed of late is one of the most threatening questions. The process initiated by the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran had even been internationalized by the 1996. Then Taliban victories in Afghanistan. However, the 9/11 changed the entire scenario. The military forces of America used the state power of the religious fanatic in Afghanistan, and Iran was forced to enter in different reconciliatory units. Muslims comprise the second largest population of pro-Hindus in South Asia. They are, however, not a monolithic community. The rise of religious fundamentalism in Pakistan and the official patronage from time to time, it has got enormous political and security impact on the region. The two ruling political parties in Pakistan, which emerged after 2013 general election, are quite sympathetic to Islamist forces. The Pakistan Muslim League and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf of Imran Khan have used this softness to attract the religious force successfully for the May 2013 general election. However, this has become one of the most serious challenges for both of the ruling parties. Regular suicidal attack, bomb blast at busy markets, targeting of religious minorities, attacks on polio eradication teams, and kidnapping of important personalities for massive ransom have become norms for the religious fanatic terrorist groups. The state seems helpless. The Pakistani state is in constant path of deleting its long-standing connection with several religious fundamentalist groups. They are, by large, no more the second tier of defense of Pakistan Islamic ideology, as was presented mainly after military general Zaul Haq took over the power in 1977. Ladies and gentlemen, Americans are using drone attack to eliminate the centuries of the peace fanatic mainly in tribal areas of Pakistan known as federally administered tribal areas of Pakistan. The government of Pakistan condemns these attacks and all its violation of Pakistan sovereignty. However, rightly so are not using Pakistan might military force to counter them. The American drone attacks are overwhelmingly opposed by the Pakistan. There has been numerous demonstration rallies by rising religious forces, and it has become of their main justification to spread their fanatic ideas. Setting up an Islamic state and jihad are the two objectives of all fundamentalist movements. Islamic fundamentalism has risen as an alternative political phenomenon, not only in Pakistan but also in the entire Muslim world. Islamic fundamentalism in Pakistan is partly a link of this international phenomenon and partly caused by specific local reasons. When analyzing Islamic fundamentalism, one must understand that the religion of Islam and Islamic fundamentalism are not one and not the same thing. Islamic fundamentalism is a reactionary, non-scientific movement aimed at returning society to a centuries-old social setup, defying all material and historical factors. It is an attempt to roll back the wheel of the history. It is possible to distinguish three general clauses contributing to the rise of fundamentalism. The contradictions of superpower. Islam has been political religion since the beginning when Arabs invaded other countries. The rationale was jihad, holy war, against non-Muslims. Although these wars had economic motives in the 19th and 20th century, when Muslim countries, one after the others, were colonized by the colonial power, the resistance movement used religion as well as nationalism as a tool for their independence struggle. In countries like Indonesia and Malaysia, the national liberation movement was begun in the name of religion. Of late, as the multinationals have stepped up their super exploitation of the Muslim world, one of the natural reactions is hatred of the headquarters, that is, the West of these multinationals. During the Cold War, America and her allies used Islamic fundamentalists against former Soviet Union and left movements. The fundamentalist parties were the closest friend of the United States and the Muslim world. However, in the post-Cold War era, they are no more needed as they did in the past. The CIA has stopped funding Islamic fundamentalist lists. This changed situation mainly and brought Islamic reactionaries. At the same time, because of the experience of centuries of colonization and exploitation, a hatred for the West, especially for the US, is widespread in the Muslim world as in any third world country. The inability of capitalism to solve the basic problem, Islamic fundamentalism is spreading especially rapidly in those countries where capitalism has failed to fulfill the task of the democratic revolution, where it has failed to eliminate poverty and ignorance, and where class contradiction are sharpening. Poverty and ignorance are concomitant. A society ridden with ignorance is fertile soil for the growth of fundamentalist ideas and terrorism. The fundamentalists, through their massive network of social services, have built alternative societies in the Muslim countries where they are strong. They provided hospitals, orphanage, schools, and many other facilities which weak capitalist governments have failed to provide to the needy people. This adds to their influence as a social force. Their schools, like seminaries, are the most influential tools. These seminaries not only provide religious education but also guarantee food and shelter to the children of marginalized families who cannot afford education and food otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, and dear guests, Pakistan is a major country who has been using militancy and religious extremism as strategic policy of the state. The state sponsored militancy against India, which was established from the day first of the creation of Pakistan, and later on it was streamlined against USSR in the era of former dictator General Jawahar. The state actors who planned to use the religion as weapon against their enemies, neither aware about the dire consequences of that policy. Due to the friendly policy towards these barbarians, religious organizations, whole society has been converted in extremism and ordinary people are facing the consequences of that. Now these organizations are not under the control of state actors, and they have established their own independent network, challenging the writ of the state and indiscriminately killing the masses. After the tragic attack on army public school in Peshawar, the present regime of Pakistan, all political parties and Pakistan army are playing on the same wicket. All actors of the state are claiming that they will eliminate the religious extremism from its grassroots. The Parliament of Pakistan has passed 21st Amendment to constitutionally empower the Pakistani army and secret agencies to tackle all forms of terrorism. The civilian government has failed to protect the democratic institution of judiciary by establishing unconstitutional military courts on the advice of military. The information minister of Pakistani government has declared that all organizations, those who believe in arms struggle, will be treated on same strategy, whether they are religious extremists or blood nationalists. The attack on army public school and massacres of innocent children has become the focal point to shift the state policy about the use of fundamentalists as strategic partners for Pakistani state, especially army and secret agencies. The basic question is that whether this new move of state is real or this is only a new strategy to earn money in the name of elimination of terrorism. The state has failed to prove that its response towards different kind of fundamentalism is set. They are silent to respond that while the backbone of Taliban and head of IS Islamic State network in Pakistan, a well-known guy, Mullah Abdulaziz, and his under control seminaries network still advocating in the favor of barbarian Taliban and ISIS. After the incident of Peshawar, Mullah Abdulaziz tried to justify the Taliban and refused to condemn attack on innocent children. He threatened peaceful demonstrators of a civil society near his headquarters, Lal Masjid at Islamabad. The FIR of this incident has already been registered in local police station, but state has failed so far to take any action against him. Another segment of religious terrorism is Jamaat Dawah, which is totally sponsored by secret agencies of Pakistan for arms struggle in Indian Health Kashmir and to produce jihadis for waging war against India and Israel. This organization is working on the instructions of the secret agencies to achieve the political goal of Pakistan Army. Jamaat Dawah is headed by Hafiz Muhammad Saeed and supported by former ISI chief Hamid Kul, former Minister Sheikh Rashid, and other disgruntled elements like that. This organization is fully responsible for the killing of thousands of Kashmiri youth in the name of jihad and spreading of religious terrorism in Kashmir. The democratic and peaceful struggle of the Kashmiri people on their complete freedom has been under attack of these jihadi organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, we have rejected use of religion in the regional conflict as well as foreign policy tool in early 90s. Simultaneously, we rejected proxy militancy in Kashmir Valley, initiated by the establishment of Pakistan. Subsequently, my own place of birth had been shrinking on me, following my party colleagues and followers. We try our best to educate the people and resist those designs which had to deteriorate the state of human rights in the region. But eventually, that policy has further halted social, economical and cultural progress, mainly in Pakistan. I would regrettably say that the successive Pakistani government have also failed to nub those elements operating from their lands. Earlier, we had also pointed out that the terms like good Taliban and bad Taliban would inflict irreparable loss to Pakistani society, which is overwhelmingly marginalized in almost all walks of life. The half of the population has been forced to live below the poverty line, but state institutions of Pakistan choose to stick to the policy of intervention into internal matter of its neighbors. We always criticize this policy of using both religion as foreign policy and terrorism as regional tool. We believe such policies would only destroy trust and cooperation between the regional countries, but it would have real consequences on its own society. I was forced to live in exile. Hundreds of political workers were compelled to leave their native area, and West was forced to join pro-Pakistan, pro-religious political parties. Recently, our party comrade Nasar Shah and his other companions were attacked by pro-Taliban clerics Mullah Abdulaziz during peaceful demonstration at Islamabad. Nasar Shah and his family and other members of party are getting threat of their consequences by Taliban. Their lives are under threat. I, along with fellow party comrades, have been highlighted and dreadful impact of using non-state actors was primarily labeled as Pakistani bashing. But the time has proved that our notion and peaceful struggle was absolutely correct. We stood when the state of Pakistan was snatching books from the hands of Afghan children, and they were thrown on the street to collect their food out of used garbage. We stood when peaceful and secular society of Kashmir Valley was under the fire of these elements. Parts of famous Pakistan security doctrines known as strategic depth. We took stand when Pakistani administered Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan region was turned into no-go area for any human rights activist. And we took stand when both peripheries were turned into training camps and the center of jihadi activities in the region. The later incident have also proved that we were not bashing any country, but were playing our due role as conscious people and political force of the region. We have been making recommendations to state of Pakistan through our meetings, briefings and interaction with European Union officials and international community and also like in United Nations Human Rights Commission. We are making a continuous efforts at United Nations Human Rights Council platform so that the responsible institution of Pakistan could revisit their policies in this regard. It is notably said that once again the security establishment of Pakistan is befooling the world community that it has imposed ban on non-state actors like Jamiatul Dawa and its auxiliaries. I would also like to mention that the capital punishment is also awarded to selected people. Why the killer of former governor of Punjab has not been hanged yet, if the government is taking these killers to end across the board. The last month, sad incident has opened the eyes of many of those who thought they are safe in their houses. I am not in the favor of capital punishment, but as a political worker and human rights defender, I cannot support selective punishment. I would again emphasize that the government of Pakistan should strengthen civil judicial system. They should revitalize people's trust on country's judiciary. The system of transparency and accountability should prevail, and liking, disliking in all areas should be systematically eradicated. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call upon international community to scare constitutionally, politically, democratically and culturally marginalized people of Pakistan and Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan from ill policies of the establishment. Having regard of today's conference deliberations, I would again reiterate that our well-being lies in collective struggle against such destructive force who intend to destabilize our region. In the end, I would say that the terrorism has entirely devastated the infrastructure of Pakistan, and those elements are trying their best to stop the wheel of the progress in other regional countries. A destabilizing factor is working within the jurisdictions of Pakistan. The mushrooming of religious madrasas should be regulated immediately, and curriculum should also be regulated between government schools and the religious madrasa. The ban on terror organizations, leaders and individuals must be effectively imposed so that the people are also stopped to those elements. Hate publication must be banned and washed from the market. Hate speeches against religious minorities from mosques must be officially discouraged. And finally, the state has to think seriously to separate religion from its policy making. We must not let them play their dirty games. We must keep striving for a peaceful and prosperous South Asian region. Thank you for your patience. Ladies and gentlemen, this chair is reserved for the speakers. So when I call the next speaker, he will come here and sit and present his analysis or speech to the audience. So my next speaker is Mr. Jamil Maksoud. He is a representative of Belgian, Kashmiri Belgian Association, and he is from Belgium. So I request him to come and floor is